You've just accessed Hardware is Forever, your source for the expert insights, ideas, and innovations you need to do more in the electronics manufacturing industry. From optimization to operations, join us as we put the pieces together for a better approach to manufacturing. Let's go.
This is Hardware is Forever. My name is Chris Mitliff. Jay Patel is the CEO at Amtech, and we're continuing our fascinating conversation, our series on the 14 points of management from W. Edwards Deming, which he built post-war, and it's only becoming more and more relevant as we kind of see the way that production and process continues to expand, even as technologies are emerging. Today, we're talking about institute training on the job, which is point 6, which is another one of these, kind of like our last one, where it seems obvious on its face. Well, yeah, we should have training on the job. But I think training is inconsistent. I think it is often too vague. I think it often is too far spread apart. Like once a year, we're going to do training, or twice a year, we're going to do training. So when he says on the job, I think that's interesting. Tell me, Jay, as you kind of see this idea of training on the job, and as a CEO who has to, mind the store, does that right away pique your interest, or does that make you say, well, hold on, now I'm going to be wasting a lot of resources teaching on the job? How do I train on the job and keep things sort of productive at the same time?
Yeah, and I think this is a big mindset shift that I had to go through. And I continue to go through. It's not like I don't, but I continue to go through is, what do we do and how do we train people up? Especially in realities of the job market right now. We're 2024, 2023, 2022 was really, really rough for us. We had to get people, there was churn, we had to get people in, we had to deliver product. And in those pressures, sometimes we do tend to question the necessity of doing it. However, to create a long-term successful organization, we need to do this. Now, to institute training on the job, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but I think the prerequisite to that is we really need really great visibility from our customers. We need to be able to predict and forecast where things are going so that when we do land new business, we're not behind. We've already got the staff, we've already trained them, and we're already setting them up and ourselves for success. So I think a lot of this stuff, again, goes back to we need to be a little bit more proactive rather than reactive. And, the principles are always there. In farming, when there's a thaw and the sun comes out is not the time that you plant the seeds. You have to know that what the right time is to plant the seeds so that you can use your crop. So it's really about having a little of planning and forecasting and customer visibility so that we can institute on-the-job training really, really well and provide the resources we need to. Because if we overhire and provide training, then we increase our overhead and that hurts our profitability. But if we underhire, that decreases our ability to ship on time and ship quality products. So it's really always a balance. And the more information, the more knowledge we can get with what the future looks like, the better we can plan for this. So maybe that's the biggest issue that we've had, and which we're working on actively, is putting a forecast together, engaging with the customers more, letting them know, looking at different reports, understanding what industry trends are, engaging with different types of, and developing different on-the-job training and training modules for our employees. But I think, initially when we started this journey, we had a lot of people come in and we talked to a lot of people who provided us, direction and how we can do this. And they said, well, we need a really robust training program. I said, I 100% agree with you. We need a robust training program. But what is training? Mm-hmm. What are the objectives of training that we should be saying that this is a good program when we develop them, this is a good program, or this is not a good program? And I think, they say I was this day old when I found out. And really, I was this day old when I found out the difference between education and training. And I think I'm just going to start out with that right now, because it may be common sense for a lot of people, but for me, it was a shift, and I would like to share with you where I'm at on understanding this. is education tells us the why we should be doing it. Training shows us the how.
Mm.
And there's a vast difference between that. It's almost like, okay, there's what I need to do in theory, like, yes, here is the recipe. I can, you just need to follow this recipe to cook this meal. And then there's really training is actually taking all those ingredients and the recipe and executing on it and creating that meal. And as we know, there's a big difference between the recipe and the actual cooking. And I think that's where the big difference was for me is, yes, okay, we need to build training. So not only, we definitely need to educate them, but then also training, we need to show them how to do that and apply that type of education into our organization.
That's a great analogy because how often, even just in our own space, we can read books about cooking a cake and we can watch all the YouTube videos, but unless we have the thing in our hand in the kitchen, we're not really figuring out how to do this. We're just observing what it was like for others to do this. And I think that's, like you said, that's kind of a crucial mindset shift because at work, we often take people away from the field, whatever that is, to do the learning. So we put them in front of a computer screen or we do our role plays or our workshops or read the manuals or whatever. And you kind of have to be in the thick of it is what I'm hearing you say. You have to be able to figure out how to do the thing while the thing is right there in front of you. And yeah, that seems ripe for conflict and problems and pain points and all this kind of stuff. But what I hear you say is with the process done right, it doesn't have to be that way. Should I expect that though? Should I expect, look, you're going to have a lot of toe stubbing, or is it just if your processes are strong, you will find that this is also strong?
Yeah, I think, if management makes it a priority, then it will be strong. And these are things that it are really tough to invest in if you are in a startup or if you're a growth phase. And as we know, as companies get more and more established, the training systems get developed. But that goes back to principle 5 is the Deming cycle: plan, do, study, act. So I think the intention needs to be there. The intention that needs to be developed intention needs to be there to develop on the job training and give opportunities to the individuals so that we can set them up for success. And what is the benefits? I think if we can develop our training and constantly improve it, it kind of codifies our lessons learned. So then as we grow and bring more team members on, they don't have to learn it the hard way, and we don't have to have them learn it the hard way. We could be learning new lessons that makes us better and better and better.
Do you have a point of view on how broad or narrow? So I think there's something really specific about like, this is your job training. This is where, this is how you take this part and assemble it to that part. But working in any organization, there's more to it than that. Working with customers, there's more to it than that. Working with human beings, there's more to it than that. Where does training in your mind and at Amtech sort of, I don't know, do you have different sort of compartments that you think of it in, or is it a constant shift from this focus point to then that focus point? Or I guess, how do you think of training in a large scale sense, not just here's how to assemble the widgets?
Yeah, I mean, that's again a function of what are best practices. First you want to learn from others and see what's available out there and get the training that's needed from somebody else. And I guess that's why we have, that's why the education system was developed is you go to college, you learn how to become an electrical engineer, you blow circuits up. So when you become, you actually get a job and work in an organization and designing things, you're not blowing circuits up in the field. So, or product up in the field. And so I think, first thing is you learn from others. And the second thing is just getting continuous feedback. You never know what's good or what's bad or what works and what doesn't work until you actually try to do something. And then just getting that feedback loop and then updating your training is a significant improvement. It is also a significant investment that will pay off over time.
How important in this for me, we've talked a little bit before about how there's an elegance to how Deming put these in sort of the order that he did, but how important do you feel like it is to have your processes understood and locked down before you can really start being serious about your training on those processes?
I mean, this is like a chicken or the egg type of thing. Like what is robust for me is not robust for somebody else, because the level of experience that I have, the God-gifted outlook or talent that I do have, like I can't sew. I will never be able to sew, but somebody has that innate ability and knows exactly what to do and how to, sew. So I won't be able to do that. So I think it depends on where we're coming from and obtaining feedback from the employees like, hey, this is what I'm struggling on this. I need to be trained on this. Can you create training on this? And I think we just have to be open-minded to be able to get that feedback. And I think one of the things that Deming always talks about and maybe referred to is that we're not talking about only technical things that we need to be trained in, but also soft skills.
Yeah.
Because that soft skills allows for that understanding of A, things are not perfect, and B, if you have anything, feedback, give it to us, and C, we will implement that feedback, according to the resources that we have, so we can make sure that not only you are set up for success, but everybody else who comes after you is also set up for success.
Jay Patel is the CEO at Amtech, and I love how you kind of share your real world. This is where I am in this whole thing, and it's always interesting to know how it's going at Amtech with this stuff. I think in time we should go back to some of these steps and say, so what's been happening over there at Amtech as you've been doing this one or that one? I think that's really interesting too. I'm looking forward to our next conversation, Jay. Thank you.
Thank you.